You know, hello. You know, the original intent of the founding fathers of the U.S. Constitution, those drafters, you know, first, it's a disservice to discuss the U.S. Constitution without first discussing about the original intent of the drafters of the Constitution. Therefore, I will submit to you today, by clear and convincing evidence, that the founding fathers never intended the enslaved Africans to be citizens of the United States of America. The founding fathers' intent was never to consider the enslaved Africans persons, but they hid the slavery in the Constitution by saying the slaves were persons. For posterity purposes, they had to hide that. But at the same time, they were discussing it. So, at the time the U.S. Constitution was being ratified, no white person was a slave. At the time the U.S. Constitution was being ratified, the enslaved Africans and born in the United States were not citizens. Even though the draft is articulated in the Constitution in that final draft that all those born in the United States at the time the Constitution was ratified were citizens, but not the slaves. Not the slaves. You must understand that. You were slaves. They had Jupiter Evans at the bottom of the feet of Thomas Jefferson when he's writing the Constitution. My fifth great grandmother, Eliza Coleman, was right there on the plantation, damn it, with this damn Jefferson. While they was fighting the Constitution to talk about people born here were citizens. But my great fifth great grandmother, Eliza Coleman, wasn't a citizen. So therefore, I don't want to be too emotional, but you got to understand my fifth great grandmother's involved here, and I'm hot. Now, the African descendants were not considered citizens, even though they were born here. At the time the U.S. Constitution was being ratified, African descendants of slaves were considered personal property. And three-fifths a person, there's the word person, three-fifths a person devoid of all legal rights. You are chattel property. Now, I submit that the founding fathers never intended the enslaved Africans to be citizens, and that the enslaved Africans were never to be five-fifths a person, a whole person. They never intended that. And if you are considered three-fifths of a person, then what are you considered with the remaining two-fifths of that? Well, I'm here to submit that the two-fifths remaining of the three-fifths person, five-fifths of the whole number, three-fifths, two-fifths of that person was animal. They considered us animal, part animal. They considered us, they is the founding fathers, the Caucasian, the white man, Muzunga, whatever you want to call that sucker. He was still considering us two-fifths animal. And it's still in the Constitution today that we are considered three-fifths person. Obama was in the presidency and he had the House, the executive office, the House, and the Senate. All were Democrats. And he studied or taught constitutional law at Harvard. But do you think he moved to amend the Constitution to strike that three-fifths of person? Do you think he ever tried it? No. He's not an African descendant of slaves. He had no interest in that. So, moving on, the founding fathers are hiding the words enslaved person because they don't want nobody to know, even after they have passed. They want their legacy to be, oh, we wrote this and drafted this beautiful, lovely document we call a constitution, which is a piece of junk. It's a piece of. Anyway, I want to say this. Doesn't it make sense? Does it make sense what I'm saying here? You read my other video where I let you know the specific articles of 3/5 of a person, about uh, considered the citizens were not us when they were writing the Constitution. We weren't citizens. Our ancestors were slaves when they wrote that Constitution. It's an ugly document, and I can't give it no homage. I can't give it no honor. Not when you're treating us like this. So I just want you to know that was all I really wanted to say. That prove me wrong. That's what you do. Prove me wrong. You're not a citizen, and you never will be a citizen in the United States of America. African descendants of slaves will never, never be citizens of the United States of America under the current constitutional construction. You see, they put you under the 13th Amendment. No slavery unless you go to prison. They never enslaved white people. So when white people go to prison, they're just in prison. A black African descendant of slave, you go to prison. You're in slavery. Trust me. I ran that press in a sheet metal shop that's 30 to 60 ton press, operating sheet metal, making $30 million a year for the Caucasian and the enterprise while I was enslaved. Yeah, I didn't get none of that. I got about 3 to 4 crumbs from all of that money they got. So keep that in mind. Think. Go read the Constitution yourself. Don't take my word. It's right in front of you. Go read it. So I want to end with a question. Does it make sense to you? Let me know. Tell me if you think it does. And on that note, I'm going to end this broadcast. Thank you and good night.